Hello everyone and welcome to another Bimmer Fixer video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to deal with some rust on your car. In particular I'm working on my 5 Series E60. Now a lot of the car is aluminium, but there is a part on here that is steel, and that's the bit underneath the handle here on the tailgate or on the boot, and it started to rust. So we're going to jump on that now before it gets progressively worse. So it goes from this to this. So as you can see, massive difference, massive improvement. So I'm going to show you everything we're going to need for this, and then we're going to get cracking. Okay, so for this one we're going to need some masking tape and some bags, or you can use paper, like newspaper, to mask up the area that we don't want to get paint on. We're going to need a range of sandpapers, but I'll go into more detail about those in a second. We're going to need some alcohol rub and a cloth to wipe down the area after we've been sanding to make it nice and ready for paint, and primer. We're going to need some filler as well. This is to repair any damage left by the rust after we've removed it. Now the paints and primer and lacquer I've bought as a set from Clayton Autos. Now they're not sponsoring the video, I've purchased these. I've used them before and they've been very good, so hopefully we'll get the same results today. I'll put that link in the description. I think it was for about £26 postage, or posted I should say, and that gave you the primer, top coat and the lacquer. I bought some etch primer separately because we're going to be painting onto exposed metal, and it's always best to put etch primer down if you're going to do that. And to help things along, we've got a heat gun as well. So that's everything we're going to need for the job. Now, first things first, we're going to need to clean some of this, or all of this grime off to make it nice and clean, so we get ready to start the job. Okay, so after we've given it a bit of a clean, we need to remove the number plate lights. Now, if you've never done this before, what you need to do, there's a little slit here on the E60. Now you need to take a flathead screwdriver and you pop it in. Now being careful not to twist it like that, because you will snap off the end. You just pop it in the gap and then pull the whole light unit to the right. Okay, so you pop it in, pull over like that, so you click, and then it should just drop down a bit. Okay, now once you've done that, you need to, so once it's down and out the way like that, you need to then go back the other way. If you carry on pulling it down, you'll snap it. So pull it down slightly and then push like that to the other way, and then down, and it kind of zigzags out. So it's over to the right, back to the left, down to the right again. Okay, so it zigzags out, and then it's simply just a case of removing the plug. Okay, so we'll do the same to the other side. Okay, now we've removed the number plate lights, you can actually see where the corrosion's actually started to work its way under the light and actually inside the boot itself. So what we need to do is you can try and pick off as much as you can, get all the loose stuff off until you get to good metal. So get what you can off with any tools, or the little flathead screwdriver, or even a wire brush if the area is big enough. And so once you've got all the flaky stuff off, and we can start with our 80 grit. Ooh, there we go. 80 grit sandpaper. And then what we'll do then is we'll just work away until we get to clean metal, and then we'll repeat the process from the other side. The other side's not too bad, but we'll follow up with all the little bits that are in between the upright and the horizontal bit of the bonnet. rust off now as much as we physically humanly can. as always with rust, you do a little bit and then you find out it's actually creaked all the way up here. So it's just worth pointing out that it's extended a little bit over where the actual rust is, and you may find just track it back as far as it goes until you find clean metal. Another pointer is, if you want, you can put some tape here, just in case you accidentally come down onto the side of the door here and scratch it with the sandpaper. But what we'll do now is we'll go over the bits we just have with 120. This will help feather it in slightly, and then with the whole underside here, we'll hit it with some 1000 grit just to get it ready for primer. Right, okay, so with our 120 grit, we'll just go over again the bits that we have, and like I say, it'll just help level it off slightly, because you'll end up with a bit of a high point. So what we'll just go over bits there. So just do a little bit at a time, and then just feel, and you'll feel there's a slight gradient there instead of it being like a step. Also, what I've noticed is, now we've rubbed it back, I don't actually think we're going to need to filler it. I think we're going to get away with just putting maybe an extra coat or two of primer, and I think that's just going to be enough to fill it. I think we've caught the rust just in time before it's actually done some serious damage, and we're just taking off the top part of the rust, and there's no more rust underneath it. So yeah, well, I'll go over it again with the 120, then like I say with 1000, and then we should be ready to prime it. Okay, so we've sanded away all our rust, and then we used our 120 grit to level it off a little bit between the paint and the bare metal, and then finally hit it with some 800 and 1000 grit paper. This was to finally just level it off and to also key the existing paint surface, so the paint and primer and everything's got something to adhere to. So what we'll do now is we'll wipe everything down, then we're going to mask everything up. So when it comes to the masking and the painting, I was very careful to try and keep this part free from scratches and things, and with a bit of luck the rust hasn't actually come onto this panel, it's just on this ledge here. So what we'll do is we'll just tape up along here and along there, just so we don't really want the new paint to come up on this surface, because you'll see the line, see the difference. So that's what we'll do. We'll wipe it all down, mask it up, and then we're ready to prime and paint. So we're just using our alcohol rub, just to remove any car polish if there's any that's got on there, and just to remove any other last bits of grease and dirt. It's also worth just doing the bits you're going to put the tape as well, because the tape doesn't like sticking on polish. There we go. And when you've made sure everything's all clean, give it one final check just to make sure you haven't missed anything. Make sure you've got all the surface keyed, because the paint won't stick if you haven't. So yeah, so what we'll do now is we'll go over it one final time just to make sure we've not missed anything, and then we'll get ready to mask up. Okay, so once you've got everything all taped up, marked up properly, and got everything covered up with bags or paper, whatever you're going to use, and you've used your alcohol rub to make sure your surface is all clean from grease and anything nasty, then you're ready to use your etching primer on all the exposed metal. So because the temperature's a little bit low today, we're just going to use the heat gun to just warm up the can slightly, just so it comes out the can nice and smoothly and evenly, and then we'll cover all the exposed areas. Then we're going to be ready for the primer. Okay, so we've applied our etch primer now, and all the exposed metal has been covered. So we're now ready for our first coat of primer. Now we're going to go with 3 coats of primer. First one being a light dusting, and then building up the layers gradually as we go on. We've heated up the surface slightly because today's a little bit chilly, and we've also heated the can up a little bit and made sure we're giving it a good shake for a couple of minutes. So what we'll do now is we'll go with our first coat of primer. It's dropped. It's proper dropped. Okay, so that's our first dusting, so we'll let that dry for 5 or 10 minutes, and we can use the heat gun to just speed that process up, and then once we're ready, or once that's done, then we're ready for our second coat. Okay, so that's been 10 minutes now, and it's all dried, so now we're ready for our second coat of primer. It's always worth pointing out as well, wear a mask, or at least do it in a very well ventilated area. So now we'll go for our second and slightly thicker coat. Okay, so now what we'll do the same again, give it 10-15 minutes. Again, we can aid it by the heat gun as well if we need to, and then we'll be ready for a third. Okay, so we've applied 3 coats of primer now, and it's dried. We've left it for a good 10-15 minutes, and now we're ready for our first coat of our top coat. So this is our A08 silver grey for my BMW, and this is the ones from Clayton's Auto Store. So once we've given the can a good shake for a good couple of minutes and make sure it's nice and warm, then we can apply, I'm going to apply 3 coats, first one being again a bit of a dusting, and then build up from there. Okay, so that's our first coat. We'll let that dry for 10-15 minutes and then carry on with others. Okay, so that's 3 coats of our base coat. Very impressed with the coverage actually, that went on very well, so that's a good job from Clayton's Auto Store. So now once we've got our 3 coats on, then we're ready for our clear coat. So we just want to make sure that we are still, we haven't got any imperfections, because this is kind of the last time you could rub it back down and correct anything that's gone wrong. So if you're happy with everything, then you're good to go with your clear coat. So this time you're going to go slightly thicker than the primer and the base coat, but not too thick because you'll get runs. And then as before, just make sure your can's nice and up to temperature and the surface is relatively warm and not freezing as well. Okay, there we go, so that'll do for our first coat. So we'll let that dry. If you do much more than that, then you risk getting runs. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll hit it again with a second coat, possibly even a third. Okay, so that's our first coat of lacquer, or clear coat, that's been put on now and has dried lovely. So what we'll do now, we'll hit it again with a slightly thicker second coat. Okay, so I've applied 3 coats of lacquer and let that cure for a good half an hour. So now we're ready to start removing the tape. Just be careful when you do remove the tape, because it still might be slightly tacky in some spots, and you could end up wrecking what you've done so far. So just be a bit careful when you remove the tape, and pull away from the work you've just done, don't pull towards it. And then yeah, we'll see the result after. There you go, all done. Over the moon with the results, given how long it took and the money it cost. I'm very happy with that, and plus we got rid of the rust, which could have been a bigger problem over time. So and it looks a million times better. Also, if you work on the E60, because of the boots either shut or all the way up, to hold it at this angle, I've just used a bit of string here on the catch. Just makes life a bit easier when you're working on it, and it's a good angle for the paint to go on. So yeah, there we go. If you've got any questions, please ask away in the comment section. I'll get back to everyone as quick as I can. If you enjoyed it, please get a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And also a big thank you to my current subscribers. Really appreciate it, guys. So yeah, there we go, all done. Thank you very much. See you later. Take care. Bye bye.